All right. Yeah, we got the mic working too. All right. Whew. Well, thank you folks for sticking by. Whoever's come by, swung by, been around, rode by. Uh, a lot of technical difficulties trying to get this connected. Usually I connect to a server in Dallas for Restream, so it can shoot out everywhere else, and that just was not working. So I had to try a few different things to get it to connect, and we're still getting red here and there. So apologies if that happens to you folks. Let me know. Uh, doesn't seem to be affecting your end, but just in case, always please let me know. This is always a work in progress, right? So let me go ahead and say howdy. How you folks doing? I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics, drinking some coffee. I'm going to talk about what I've been reading, maybe what you've been reading, and comic updates, a few different things. We actually got quite a few topics today, if you folks are interested at all. Um, howdy, howdy. I use Restream, so usually I'm able to hit YouTube, Periscope, which is through Twitter, and Twitch. Um, I did it through Facebook too for a while, but that one doesn't seem to be connecting. And I even hit Steam for the hell of it. So we'd be hitting about 5 platforms at a time. But I'm not doing Facebook or Steam right now just to see if that helped the connection. And maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But yeah, we're on YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch right now. And welcome and thank you for stopping on by. Really, especially if you've been one of the folks who've been sticking with me while this tech difficulty getting this thing launched was going through. I know it can be a little annoying. You're trying to keep up with this. Oh, ha, you just asked, do you have the link? I think you found me. I think you found me. So thank you so much for finding me. Um, if you want any other links, let me know. I'm happy to post them in chat for you. Boom, 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 and that's all good. Nothing new there. No worries there. All right. So I guess what we'll do is start with the. Yes, you did. All right. Um, we'll start with what I've been reading. Right. Let's do that. So I got a smaller stack, and a couple of them aren't finished. Um, I haven't done a what you're reading for a while. Um, if you're interested in some smaller things I had read in the last couple weeks, on our YouTube, check out our IronVerse Quickies playlist. I do short comic reviews, preferably indie when I can. Sometimes it's just something that piques my interest. And that'll have a little bit more of what I've been reading, but these are going to be just kind of what I've been continuously reading. And feel free to talk about what you've been reading real quick, and well, real quick, however long it takes, right? We plenty of room in chat, and maybe too much coffee, which is good. I had no energy. Uh, so I've been digging through Alita Battle Angel Alita, Last Order for a little bit. Oh, let's see, the light kind of washed that out, didn't it? Yeah, this cover is not conducive to where my lighting system's at. No, that's worse. There you go. That'll have to do, folks. The cover's not spectacular anyway. I think it has to do with one of the secondary mains whose plot we're following. They introduce vampires. I don't know. It's been really good. Not as good as the original run. This is the third omnibus. I think this is. Let me see. It'll say how many chapters in it is at the beginning here. It gets you to the 55th chapter of this run. So I don't know how many volumes that is, but uh, so far it's fine. We're really diving into that lady who you kind of could see from the cover. Again, vampires, right? I don't know why they threw vampires into this story of cyborgs and martial arts, but so far it hasn't ruined anything. I'm just kind of curious what the point is going to be. And that's where I'm at in this. I've got one more omnibus to go through after I finish this. And then there's one more, and then they didn't collect the rest of it into another omnibus. You have to pick up the last 4 volumes separately, which is a little annoying but doable. Um, and I want to finish it. I want to see what they're trying to do with this. The first original run ended so bravely. This one was continuing some of the ideas I really liked, particularly Battle Angel Alita really focuses on an exploration of transhumanism and then what it is to be a person. This one kind of focuses on what it means to define your identity as a person, and so that's been kind of interesting. But it's definitely wandering a bit currently, and I want to see if there's a point to it or if it's just filling. And I hope it's not just filling space, but the art's always really good. So I mean, it's at least it's a visual feast usually, and the combat scenes are always cool and pretty inventive. So yeah, it's pretty entertaining. Pretty entertaining. Not it hasn't got me to tear through it. Again, it's mulling right now. The first two omnibuses, pretty long chunks of manga. I tore through those. Getting to this Zot tournament, the zenith of something something. It's the big like I think it's only solar system wide martial arts tournament basically, and it's pretty interesting so far. But again, it's mulling around with vampires all of a sudden, so I'm hoping it goes somewhere with that. Um, in terms of single issues, uh, I try and get through some of this as often as I can because I need levity every once in a while. Some good old Gru the Wanderer. This particular one was not super entertaining, if I remember right, but it did its job. It had to deal with it introduced his sister Gruella, and she was forced out of her castle, and she asked Gru for help. And as it always happens with Gru, um, the opposite of what you want him to do usually happens. And as always, his reputation precedes him about that, but people still engage with him. Uh, as always, Argonis is funny, and it's paced well, and the voice of the work, the writing voice is always super unique. I always appreciate that. But yeah, this one didn't give me a huge amount of chuckles, but it did good. It did good. And yeah, if you ever find loose issues of Gru, they're usually self-contained and worth a quick read, especially if it's like in a dollar bin or something. Uh, I love funny books, and it can be rare to find that kind of stuff. So yeah, when you need levity, when I need levity, this. In fact, when I was reading Berserk for a while, I had to read some Gru in between just to keep my mind from going too far. Um, so I do recommend this if you need a pickup. But yeah, issue 19, not the best, but not bad. Um, and I'll keep reading them as long as I still got some in my back issue there. My little collection there. So yeah, and then we have two kind of linked together here. Oh, welcome, Just Doug. Thank you so much for stopping by. How goes it? It goes all right. I needed to drink a lot of coffee to get on stream today. Um, I just could not get up today. Luckily, it was a day off. I wasn't sure it was gonna be. I lucked out it was, or else I'd probably be sleeping right now. Uh, so trying to make most of it, and again connect with you folks. It's been a little bit. The last stream I did was on Kentaro Miura and his passing, and that's been our actually most popular video since this started being IronVerse Comics as a channel. I was very humbled to see that. I'm very glad people could resonate with me on that. It was kind of a hell of a thing to witness, especially the fans, and then the emotion along the story, and the emotion alongside the artwork, and how much inspiration that he gave and such. It's made me do a lot of thinking, and I'm glad it has. But yeah, it was a trip. But that was the last time I connected with you folks, and it's that we can do better. That's why we're here. Um, And yeah, so I do recommend checking out Gru if you ever find any single issues. Definitely worth your time, especially if you're okay with a little bit of levity, or if you need a little bit of levity. That's again, I was reading Berserk, and I needed Gru in between volumes, just about to breathe. Berserk doesn't allow you to breathe very much. It tries. It's got Puck, and it's got little moments of levity, right? A little bit of love here and there, but then it's just darkness and hardship, um, to say the least, right? To be very very vague in descriptions when the work is not vague at all. But yeah, so yeah, that's what Gru does for me. Lead a Battle Angel can get lost in some darkness as well. Nothing compared to Berserk, but it does hold hope, not as a carrot a stick, but on a stick, like a lot of work does. But it as a facet of the world, as a given, right? So yeah, I can sometimes need some levity when that's the case as well. Something that doesn't take itself too fucking seriously and doesn't haphazardly throw comedy in because comedy is the entire point. I always appreciate that. But we'll get to these next two reads, and we'll start with the one that I haven't gotten all the way through, because so far it's not that great, but it's also not that bad. And I've got a lot. Okay, so this one I got some things to say about. So when I had heard Disney had acquired the rights to Games Workshop's properties and producing them in media, oh boy, I had no idea what that would mean. Warhammer 40K in particular, I had no idea what that would mean now that Marvel Comics is putting out Warhammer 40K, and they no longer really do anything with their Max line, the stuff that actually has blood, guts, and gore. That was their ability to separate their superheroes from their more aggressive artistic works to be again vague about it. And so I had no idea if they'd try to make it cuddly is the best way I could put it. And they didn't make it cuddly, which I'm glad. In fact, I don't mind showing you guys at all. They made sure, the writer and artist made sure within the first page, they're like, yeah, no, this is still 40K. They don't get it. I'm gonna have to say, the artist is decent and the writer's fine. Um, it's kind of by the numbers. I've read a lot of Warhammer 40K comics, especially the older ones from the Black Library that are kind of hard to get a hold of. Got a few behind me. In fact, there was an anthology collection I read recently and shared on Twitter and a bunch of images and stuff. I might have to do a quickies on that. To go along with a quickie on this, I do want to do an Ironverse quickie on Warhammer 40K Marnius Calgar from Marvel. Um, but short story. So let me show you. They definitely didn't shy from the blood and guts. I was happy about that. You get heads on pikes. I mean, within the third panel, you get a guy exploding to a bolter shell with blood and guts going everywhere. Not part of the Max line, but still has the Marvel logo and then the Marvel fucking box on the side there. So it muddies Marvel's brand a little bit. The presentation of the cover is kind of like the old codexes for 40K, which I kind of thought was a neat nod. Again, the art's fine. The writing's just super stiff, which I kind of expect. The Ultramarines as a as a symbol within Warhammer 40K are a bit stiff. They don't have the best, strongest, unique personalities. It's Roman soldiers in power armor. Um, so I've gotten through the first issue that's in this trade paperback, and it wasn't great. It was fine. It carried itself fine. Again, you got your blood, your guts. You got an intro to Marnius Calgar, the chapter master of the Ultramarines. His a little bit of his origin. They kind of teased it. You got a giant monster at one point. You got a lot of dead heretics. So I expected it to be cuddly. So I'm glad I was wrong that it wasn't cuddly. It wasn't softened. Uh, but it also doesn't feel as grimdark. It doesn't. It just feels like the violence is there, the gore is there. It doesn't feel like it's integral to the world that's being told in this. And I have no idea where they're gonna keep going for it. This is supposed to be like the introduction to 40K and the Marvel line of 40K comics, right? Um, not not great so far. Now I'm gonna give it till I can finish it, but it's not leading me to really want to finish it. A good comic I have a hard time putting down. That's just how it goes. I need to know what's going to happen and finish it if I can. Just like Alita Battle Angel, usually I can tear through the mangas because I need to know what's happening next. They're really good at that. But this one again, the omnibus I showed earlier, it's muddling around with this side purpose, and I don't know where that's going, so I haven't been able to dig through it as much as I wanted. This is doing that, but it's because the characters are so stiff and wooden. It's very tough to get through. Now, 40K comics are never great. I've never read a great Warhammer 40K comic, and I've got a bunch. Been through quite a few. But they usually are a shit ton of violent and gory spectacle. And this has violent and gory spectacle, but it's not a shit ton of it. It's not put front and center. It's doesn't within this first issue it feels very muddled. Again, I'm going to have to go through and see if the plot develops into something worthwhile. But so far, I mean, it's not as bad as I had expected from Disney handling this, but it's not good. I have to say that it's not good. Um, I got it for like $15 for this about 104 page, 5 issues collected into this trade. The floppy ass fucking trade paperback. The cover actually is about, I don't know, a millimeter or two short from the interior pages. So they're not putting their money where their mouth is with this property, but they needed to produce something to continue to own it or something. I'm guessing. So this is part of it. And Calgar was a safe bet. And that's what this feels like. There's not much risk taken either in making it cuddly or in being really violent 40K. So I don't know. Not as bad as it could have been, and as bad as I expected, but certainly not good. Um, I will be doing a quickie on this because I'm a huge 40K fan. It's as much of an influence on me as basically any other property I've ever interacted with. But I don't know. I would like some Ultramarine fans. I'd like to talk to Ultramarine fans about this because I'm a Space Wolf guy. I like my Space Vikings who will tear you apart with their teeth if they had to. The Ultramarines, I mean, they would too, to be fair, but they're stiff. They're wood and they have a little less character to me. But to fans of that chapter, I think maybe there's something more here. But yeah, eh. Could have been ew and terrible and like this is completely pissing on 40K, but it's not that, but it's not very good. uh, but what's that Chuck poster on the wall? Was thinking Tron until you read it. So it is a Tron homage. It's my buddy Laguna Munta. So if you listen to our streams, any of the music that comes on is by my buddy, pretty much my oldest friend and closest thing I have to a brother. Laguna Munta is his one-man rock band, indie rock band, and he did a crowdfunder not too long ago to get some posters and his latest album released and printed on CDs with a nice jacket. Watch. Since you're curious, I got it right here. Unopened yet because I have it digitally, but still. Boom, 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 boom. And so, yeah, that's indie rock and roll. I support indie rock. I support indie, period. I want us to have our voices heard as a fucking species instead of megalithic corporations taking the individual voice out of it and then filtering it into whatever they feel is a safe bet to continue to make money. Uh, So yeah, check it out, Laguna Munta online. He has a YouTube channel also if you want to listen to some of his music. That was his second album, Chuck. It was a concept album, an exploration of the character of Chuck, and it explores death, it explores family, love, relationships, fear, whole bunch of beautiful themes. It's a wonderful album. Should be publicly released here soon enough, but I was so glad that his crowdfunder was successful and he got to print his CDs and. Yeah. That is a Tron homage, though. You're 100% right. It's still about 40K here. So let's talk about something that's a little bit better that I had read back in the day online. because it is Space Wolves. It's my chapter here, and I was looking for this. I was looking for this because I wanted to finally be able to talk about it because nobody was talking about the Disney 40K. So I didn't know if it was so bad. Well, I knew it couldn't be so bad that everybody's like up in arms about it, and it wasn't so good. People were surprised, so I had to check out for myself, like what kind of impression it left, and I can see it didn't leave much of an impression. But again, I have 4 more issues to read through in that trade, so we'll see. This, on the other hand, was a little bit better. Most 40K comics have always been black and white line art, sometimes grayscale. This was grayscale when it was originally released, and that's what I thought I was buying. Um, is that Lone Wolves, if you can read that. Um, and it was all right when I read it back in the day with the grayscale. You don't get 40K comics are kind of an oddity. They'd appear in Warhammer Monthly, and sometimes you get a printed collection here and there, and then it would be a very small print run, and then they'd never touch it again. I think this they changed the logo. It's the same logo that's on Marnie's Calgar here, but this is still Black Library printed this. Very interesting that they did that. I think it was one of the last hurrahs of their older works before Disney kind of got control of it. Uh, so they decided what they were going to do is print a hardcover and fucking color the thing, which was a trip. I didn't expect it to be colored. So here's the grayscale art, which was cool. They even included that at the beginning here. So here's some of the grayscale art. It's very classic kind of British realism art, like Judge Dredd and a few other comic works do, and I love that. I'm not sure how old this particular story was. I read it in the early. Oh, first published in 2003. There you go. I read it maybe '09, 2010, something like that. Um, but yeah, then they fucking colored it, and when I opened it and saw it colored, I was super surprised. It's good coloring. They put their time and paid a decent colorist to really work with that grayscale, which I was not sure could be done very well, just because I think it was made with the intention of being grayscale. So artists sometimes do different techniques when they're planning for colors or they're planning for grayscale. Um, and this was good. So there's actually less gore in this than Marnie's Calgar, but there's a purpose to it. It's supposed to be lonely isolation. Um, Great shot of the Tyranids here. Let me see if I can show you folks that art. It was fucking massive swarm of Tyranids. So you don't get this epic. God damn it. Sorry, it's back and forth. There we go. What about here? Yeah, the coloring is not going to come out great on my camera with my lighting. But the Marnie's Calgar hasn't given me any kind of scale, and 40K is all about scale. Even though their numbers are stupid, you know, you have about 1,000 Marines in a chapter, yet they cover a galaxy and protect billions of planets. It's kind of their numbers are terrible in 40K, but the scale was always communicated as epic. This does that pretty damn well. You have like 6 fucking space wolves on a planet. We mainly follow an Imperial Guard regiment that was isolated and left to die, who are discovered by those space wolves and helped out here and there, and then they chase them, they meet, and then I mean the plot's razor thin, but it does its job to show gore and conflict, and I mean you get some cool art in the back too. And then they try and sell you on the novels, which I actually do recommend the Saga of the Space Wolves. It's a good 3-book epic following Ragnar Blackmane and his rise to captain. But let's see, info. You get some sketch work from the codexes. I mean, it's pretty cool. What do I got here? I want to show something unique. Well, here's a spread with some orcs. For instance, you get at one point, they fight some orcs at one point. I mean, it does its job. And that's all. It's serviceable. It was serviceable in black and white when it was released. I'm just surprised they actually collected into a hardcover and fucking colored it. It was really hard to get a hold of these. Again, if they print anything, it was super not low quality, low quantity. So it still is really hard to get a hold of 40K comics. And this was cool that they did one last printing of this in a really cool prestige format and trying to get Space Wolf fans to hop on board a little bit, and maybe we'll get something through the Disney line. But oh, I don't know, folks. I don't know. They might have relettered this too. Uh, there was a shot in Marnius Calgar too where the artist does this top view isometric view, and it looks like some of the bodies are floating. It's not great. This the artist at least knows what he can do, and there's no like moment that takes you out of it like that. But yeah, I dug through this pretty goddamn quick, and it's about as long as the Marnius Calgar trade, so the difference in quality is kind of obvious there. But that's kind of what I've gotten through the last week or two. I would recommend Lone Wolves. You're not going to get like many Space Wolf comics. So if you're Space Wolf, Space Viking werewolves in power armor in the grim dark universe 40K, you're not going to get much better than that. And the artistry is great, and the colors really surprised me and really pulled me in. The writing's fine. It definitely beats the fuck out of Calgar so far, but Calgar wasn't the worst thing I've read, and it very well could have been. So, but yeah, that's what I've gotten through. There's a lot of things I'm planning to try and get through, but sitting down and reading, I've been working like crazy and trying to hype the Kickstarter campaign, trying to maintain the house and take care of my animals and stuff. I'm tired. Again, I had to get through a lot of coffee, and I'm still getting through some coffee to be here with you folks, and I'm very happy I can be. But I wish I had more time to read here and there. The other thing I've been doing when I can, I've been watching Hajime no Ippo, um, which Kentaro Miura worked as a assistant for that mangaka for a while. And it's a wonderfully inspirational boxing story. I would recommend to folks. It's near impossible to get a hold of the manga in English, which is really shitty. Your only choice is fan subs. But I'd recommend that as well. I started looking at that. Um, but you can watch the whole series on YouTube for free. And I really recommend it as long as you're okay with subtitles. That's been doing a lot for my mood and keeping me going lately is that tale. So yeah, that's about it on the reads. I wish I had more, but just have not had the time. Just have not had the time. I'm planning on doing a quickie on Marnius Calgar, like I said, just because I want to discuss that whole situation. I might do a quickie on Lone Wolves, but I don't have too much to say. Um, and I will keep updating folks on Alita Battle Angel Last Order, because so far it's kind of wandering, and I hope it comes back, because we're really exploring Alita's like dichotomy of personalities, who she was, Yoko, and who she is now, Alita. And they finally are converging, and now we're wandering. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. But that's what I've been reading. I hope you folks have been reading something good. Let me know in chat if you have. Do I know any indie metal band? Um, I used to know of one in my hometown, right? A lot of indie bands are stuck. Um, that's kind of how it goes with indie music. It's very tough to break into this industry. It's a little bit easier than before the internet and before YouTube and stuff. But even I've seen big YouTubers who have millions of followers who have been doing cover music and such for a long time, try and break in with their own stuff, which is really high quality and has their heart and soul poured into it more than the covers do, and it doesn't seem to take off. People are really directed and really hard to get off the corporate teat. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. Whether it's indie art, indie film, indie music, people are so used to the safe bets and so used to thinking that maybe that's all that's out there, or don't even think beyond that it becomes really difficult. And so best we can do is stick together, support each other, support what we like as human beings who want to consume heartful art, um, and just keep at it. But yeah, that is what I've been reading. Um, Again, let me know in chat, or down in the comments below if you're watching this later. What you've been reading. I'm always excited to hear what's going on. I don't get to read many new comics, and I know a lot of people have strong opinions on a lot of new comics. So I'm always interested to hear that. For one, because I can't get a hold of them myself, it's just not practical for me. But also, I want to know what's going on. Manga as well. I big kerfuffle about Demon Slayer lately, where it's kind of been mixed messages about how much ass it's kicked compared to the Western industry. But I don't know Demon Slayer like at all, and apparently it's the number one manga right now. Um, Little things like that. I wanna have my ear to the ground, and I'm definitely curious. So if anybody ever has any of that kind of discussion, even tag me on Twitter at cowboy_steel. Just let me know. Let's talk sequential art. It's really important to me. Um, on that note, let's talk about two relatively viral tweets I had. It's very rare that that happens for me. Again, relatively viral, maybe you consider over 1,000 and such. I've only had one go past that. Almost went to 10K, and it was about Stan Lee's death and how corporations want to use necromancy to resurrect the dead to shill for eternity. I'm glad it resonated with people because that idea horrifies me. The dead should be able to rest. But anyway, these two, and we'll talk about one in particular because we were kind of talking about that. We've talked about Hajime no Ippo, and the thing that kind of underscored it was Hajime no Ippo, an image from the anime. Uh, Let's go to share. Let's go here. And then I will totally get to your comments, just Doug. Thank you so much. Let me go here. Boom. So this one ends up it's still kicking ass after a couple days, about 320 likes. So this was mainly to get the idea out of my head that had struck me hard, especially with Hajime no Ippo, but also with the death of Kentaro Miura and what he tried to do with Berserk, at least what I got out of what he did with Berserk. Um, and this was very harsh on Western comics. I don't read all Western comics. I don't read very many modern comics, right? So I had no right to say that. But the vibe that's put out, the marketing, the energy, the feeling is very much we're going to tell you what you like, and we're gonna teach you what you should like, right? Whereas manga, shonen in particular, but a lot of others, it's more of inspiring. Even the romantic work is supposed to inspire a desire for love. And this dichotomy. So I was very curious that this actually took off. People liked it, and we're kind of talking about it because I do think if we focused more on inspiration as sequential artists, we'd find we inspire a lot more. And Kentaro Miura's death, I got to see firsthand a lot of the inspiration he was able to leave. And I watched Neil Adams passing. I watched a lot of these Western creators when they go, and there's just this the resonance that's left with their passing was nothing compared to Miura, and that's super sad because they did amazing work, right? Um, and I want that disconnect to not be so strong. I think we can leave an impact with our work. Daniel Warren Johnson is one of the few modern creators I really respect because he really does try to have his cake and eat it too, and he's pretty damn successful at it. Murder Falcon fucking broke me by the end of it. That's because I'm a metal fan, right? And he did so many beautiful homages in it. Um, and how it discussed music and love music. I'm a musician as well. He aimed for a very specific niche, one that he personally loved and adored and wanted to put to paper. His artistry is wonderful as well, and he was able to express that and get it out. That's very rare for Western artists these days, and a lot of people are in comics not to be in comics these days, and that breaks my heart. And you don't feel that with his work, but I just think as sequential artists, writers, anybody in the comics field, you can do more, and that's kind of what this was about. Um, and I'm glad I did qualify it, but it's very interesting that this was able to get as much, especially with the indie hashtag. Um, I never know how to get any kind of hit on social media. It's been a long time since I had anything like this. So very interesting. We got a lot of good discussion in here. Howdy, Justin. Hope you're doing well. Oh well, yeah. This is what I look like. I've been on camera the last month or so. I decided to rip that band-aid off. I got to give it your all is kind of where I came from. How I started with comics is I had to step past a boundary I had placed because I didn't enjoy what that boundary was, which was jumping on social media. Right. This was the obvious next go. I'm not stoked about it, but it allows me to put more person into the work. Right. So here I am. But yeah, welcome, welcome. Um, I think manga works so well on inspiration because they have to push through trials rather than big two heroes hitting the reset button every few years. I think that's a big part of it. Um, you're never worrying about Batman dying, right? When they killed him not too long ago in his history, anyway, in the scale of his history, um, they should have let Drake continue as Batman, and let Damon Wayne, and then grow that dynamic and see that rivalry of new Robin versus old Robin slash Nightwing being Batman. I liked that idea. The execution was fine. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't disrespectful, right? But then Bruce is back because you can't have Batman with Bruce Wayne now. It's just not possible. Um, they killed Superman a long time ago with Doomsday, right? They couldn't stick with that, even though Funeral for a Friend is a heart wrencher. And they're like, no, now here's 7 new Supermen. It's not allowing a consistent vision. You can do it even with an established property as long as you like the comic that brought me into comics, Ghost Rider Road to Damnation. It was a 6-issue miniseries, beginning, middle, and end. Um, Consistent creative team. It allowed them to hit notes. It was outside of regular Marvel continuity. It allowed a growth and a final. It's not going to have the impact 1,000 chapters of a manga are going to have, right? But it's going to have a similar ability to leave a resonance that yeah, modern books and the handoff of properties doesn't quite allow very well. Um, I know like Hawkman recently was really liked. I know he's got one of the most confusing continuities in comics. Um, uh, I know Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil has been really liked recently, and I love Daredevil. Um, but I have no, it's a different game. It's a very different game. What that part of Western comics, very different game than manga. Um, and oh man, manga will kill you, right? Western comics will just I don't think they'll break you. I think you'll just wash out because you get complacent. Um, but manga will fucking kill you, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think it's wonderful that artists out there are willing to pour their heart and soul into something consistently again and again and again. That's very inspirational. But it'll fucking kill you, and that's not good either. And that's that dichotomy between these two different ways to express stories in sequential art, which is my favorite fucking storytelling medium, uh, bar none, uh, because of its possibilities and its liberation of storytelling. Um, there's a way to have our cake and eat it too. Um, and I think some folks, Daniel Warren Johnson's one of them, have kind of figured out where their niche can be to produce both works they really, really want to and stay in the main corporate fucking circuit. I don't like the corporate circuit, but it is a necessary evil currently, and I don't know how we could build outside of it in this world of corporate gods, whose dictates are infallible and who cannot fail. Um, so I know indie can do good, and I think indie can come out of nowhere and do something amazing. That potential's never going to go away, unless speech is completely controlled, and then we've already lost way more than just sequential art. But it shouldn't kill you. This work should not kill you. And so, there's a lot we need to figure out as these artists, and a lot to figure out on how to make sure that we're supporting the artists we love enough so that they don't have to break their fucking back pouring their soul out for you. Or that they don't have to sell out their soul to even have the chance to break their back to tell you anything. Um, there's something better, and oh, I don't know if we can reach it, but I certainly hope we can. Um, and that's kind of what this was about. It was me being frustrated, me being super sad. Berserk left such a powerful resonance with so many, and I got to share in that resonance. Um, and there's just it's never going to not make me continuously think about our potential and things that we maybe could do better and things that we hopefully will do better. But yeah, anyway, it was interesting that this went anywhere. Usually my shit, I'm usually shadow banned. So a lot of my shit doesn't get shown to very many folks, except for consistent folks who engage with it. So it was interesting that this got out. I got a couple of bigger folks who retweeted it and stuff. I think a lot of people have frustration with corporate culture. And so you're going to get a lot of folks who are happy to throw a middle finger to corporate culture. And this is partially that, but it's more my sadness at what we've done with this beautiful art form. And we've done a lot of amazing things, but the potential's infinite, right? So you could be it's impossible to be even halfway up to infinite, right? But if you're looking at that scale, so half full, half empty kind of looks. That's kind of how it goes. It's all perspective. I think we're doing really good. At the same time, we can always do so much better. Let me look here. Boom, 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 boom. Checking these out. Ooh, wow, you guys have been talking. Apologies. I don't know why I expected you to have a cowboy hat on all the time. I do have a cowboy hat. I just can't wear it with my mic. Um, in fact, Dollar Coins, the co-editor here, he gave me a little bit of shit for not playing the role. But at cons, I may do that. I'm hoping to get back to doing cons at some point. But there's a lot of societal things that need to fall into place before I'll know what kind of steps need to be taken to allow that. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, Luffy has to live with Ace dying in One Piece. Yeah, that spoiler for anybody who's not caught up on One Piece, and that'll break you too. They spend one of the best fucking arcs in the story trying to save his ass, and then it all falls apart at the very fucking end, and it changes the world. The entire fucking world's dynamics change because not just Ace, but fucking Whitebeard, fucking get killed. The top of the food chain, right? The thing that was maintaining the balance. Um, Stakes. They know how to make sure that stakes are always there. And again, with with these icons that the Western culture has been recycling again and again, the stakes have kind of fallen apart. We can't believe that these guys are ever gonna truly fail. And so a lot of writers and creators have leaned into that. It's like, well, if they can't fail, then we'll fucking twist them a little bit, make them more evil, or explore parts of their personality to show that they're not icons anymore. And it can work. It can be done very well. It's just overdone. I mean, Alan Moore made the message, and then people have not fucking stopped trying to be Watchmen. And Watchmen wasn't even that amazing, but it was a cultural moment to look back at what we've created, and we can't stop thinking that that's the path forward. And it's a stepping stone. It wasn't the path forward, but yeah, it's a trip. I really have enjoyed One Piece quite a bit. East to West, being 45 issues total, had big emotional hits near the end. My favorite U.S. comic. Haven't finished it yet. It's. I have trouble when an author is trying to spin too many plates at a time in a story, right? Um, it's why I don't like a lot of modern TV and a lot of different, more modern storytelling. Likes to spin a lot of plates, interweave a lot of plot threads, right? And if you're trying to get a message, that sometimes doesn't work. Now I've gotten to, I think, volume 7 on East of West, so I have 3 more volumes to go. I just haven't been inspired to pick them up because of that. Um, but a lot of other folks are going to really like it. I'm glad it has a lot of emotional resonance at the end. I'm glad to hear that because they've been building it up. Even by volume 7, it hasn't done that yet. Um, it hasn't hit any of those big things. So I'm glad it hits a crescendo at the end, because that is the proper way to go about it. I just wish it had reeled me in more. Um, but I'm glad it reeled you in. I love the concept. I love the artwork. I love the designs, and even good chunks of the story I really like. I love the world building. Uh, I've never been a political reader, right? And like half of East to West, at least so far, has been world politics. Sure, fantasy world politics, but world politics. And then I'm just like, okay, uh, when's the next story beat really? Where's the next person bit? Not just these very cruel games, but different people. It's going to resonate differently. Um, And yeah, I really respect East of West. Again, my fucking profile picture was on almost everything is a panel by Maxi Dallo, colored by Frank Martin, who's the colorist on East of West, on King in Black, on I guess it was Absolute Carnage, on Venom for a while. One of the most popular colorists in the industry, at least in terms of sales numbers. And he found resonance with our work, and that was very cool. So I have that connection there, and so I will get through East of West. I need to. I was talking about this earlier. I need to read a lot more Gru in between it. Something fun that doesn't take itself seriously. Uh, I stick to it. Manga works because stories have an ending. Yeah, you as a reader have something to look for in the story. I think so too. I think that's a massive part of it. Again, mini-series and self-contained indie works are also able to do that. They don't always utilize it as well, I would say, but they're also able to do it. Like again, Murder Falcon had a purpose. You felt it through every fucking page and panel and story beat and emotional tear. Um, and manga, especially shonen, they know that that's a big part of the goal, right? Your heroes will fail, they'll get their asses kicked, but they'll get back up and they'll get stronger. Um, and it's super common, but really, really an important thing that Western culture doesn't do too much because these heroes are so ingrained. I think a lot of writers feel everything's been done, so the only thing to do left is to tear down what's been done. And that's not true. You can tell the same story again, just tell it better. That's what manga does again and again. It tells the same fucking story, but tells it better and better. At least tries to, right? It's not always going to succeed, but it tries to. And I think again, this is massive sweeping generalizations of very individual art forms that the reader is the one who really creates the resonance by connecting with it, right? Otherwise, it's just fucking ink on paper. But so it's always going to be different to everybody, and I don't want to discount anybody who loves modern comics either. That's why I said not 100% in this, but I was frustrated personally. So, it's a beautiful art form. I'm happy if anybody's helping support and engage it. And I hope nobody disagrees that we can do better, even if you think we're doing amazing. I still think we can do better. And manga's one of the pathways to look at to maybe do better. I wish East and West would learn from each other. Yep. The creator of Garfield trained people to draw like him until no one could tell if he didn't do it. Manga do that and have creators pull back some. Yeah. Again, if they didn't do the whole assistant system, fucking a, we'd have a lot more dead mangaka. Um, just straight up. So I'm so glad they have that. And the other thing that assistant system allows you to have is a actual path upwards. You get experience, on job experience. Comics, man, you fucking break in, and editors, maybe some editors do it. Maybe some editors do take your hand and help you through and establish you. But I don't feel that mentor student relationship in Western comics anywhere near where mangaka maintain it. It's literally their lifeblood, and they know it. Um, they know that their assistants maybe will stay assistants forever, but maybe will eventually be able to tell something better with the previous experience they had. And that's something we need to learn on the Western side of it. I mean, I know we had the Joe Kubert art school. That was a wonderful path forward. We do have universities that'll do it, but they don't. Well, see, I don't know. I don't have the experience, but I don't see the same growth. Um, Personally, I don't see the same growth that the mangaka assistant relationship provides. I don't see that coming from any of these Western schools, any creators. Um, you would think maybe pencilers and inkers would maybe develop that relationship, right? I don't know of any relationship like that. Um, so little things. I agree. I wish they would learn from each other as well. And that's what I'm trying to do with our work. That's why we release both a manga and a Western comics adaptation. Um, but it's a tough game no matter where you're from, and anybody who's successful has my love and adoration for keeping the medium alive. Um, might have my ire for maybe keeping it a little too stagnant, but you do have my admiration for keeping it alive. Let's see. Into just writing rather than writing and drawing and dying at the table. Yeah, yeah, we were talking about that. Okay. See you tonight at 8. Yep, absolutely. I should be with Justin Dutton. I don't even know the channel. I'm so sorry about that. If you'd like to plug it, if you're still here, please do. If not, I apologize. I will be plugging it as we get closer to that time. I'll be streaming with them, talking a little bit of Jack maybe, and the previous thing I watched with them, we're talking about character design. So we'll see. We'll see what we talk about. I'm excited. I want to promo this Kickstarter a little bit in this final about week, a little over a week. Hopefully we have the new cover in from Maxi here this week as well. Last minute, if nothing else, it'll be a print. But yeah, it's do or die time. I'm very curious how that'll go. East to West lands it. I'm glad to hear that. A lot of plates spin, yeah, but know how to pull it in when it gets time. Yeah, please don't spoil. I will get to it. I just haven't yet. Again, it's just I'm all about timing. Whether it was from creation to reading things at the right time, like Berserk came into my life at the perfect time. Hajime no Ippo right now is coming to my life at the right time. So different things, different. Alita Battle Angel, I needed her at the at the right time. Nausicaa the Valley. There's so much storytelling that has reached me or I've obtained at the times where I can most benefit and learn from it. So hopefully that'll happen with East to West as well. Yeah, so that's that, and then the other thing's kind of simple, and it's kind of funny, and there's not much to talk about. I could go through these comments, because there's a lot of good stuff here, but instead what I'm going to do is just link you guys to the thread. Feel free to comment on it in chat or wherever. Comments down below if you're watching this later. I'd love to continue this discussion because it's even though it was very blunt and generalized, and I hate blunt and generalization when most everything down to the single atom is fucking individual in this fucking universe. It's somewhat important to be able to speak about generalities, or else you get lost in chaos. Even though generalities are by and large illusionary, um, they're one of our paths forward, um, one of our paths into an upward spiral instead of either being locked in a circle or decaying downward. So, yeah, I think it's an important discussion. Let me see here though. So I'm gonna go ahead and go up here real quick. Whoop, not there, even though you should stand by because it's gonna take a second. I'm gonna go here for a second while I look for that other tweet that got relatively viral. I'm just gonna show you the image and hope you folks will consider sharing it if you haven't already, just to keep it alive. It's a small advertisement for the Kickstarter we got going, and it landed really well. It still is landing well, so I'd like to keep that alive so more and more new folks can see it. You folks have seen this image a million times, and it's something I'm going to tell you. Don't give up on your promo images. Um, there are so many folks on this planet, and folks who really like your work won't mind seeing the same shit. As long as it's not the exact same shit all the time, forever, consistently, and too much, right? Um, but also you're likely gonna reach somebody new every time. So you got to balance that. And that's what this was. It's just a quick little thing. This one hit hit about the same as that Hajime no Ippo manga conversation post, um, which was cool. It's a beautiful image by Illustrator Monk. Please check out he and his work. He just released Eclectic Coven. I think you can still get it on Indiegogo. It's Eclectic Coven. Beautiful art book and a short comic. Very cool little read. And of course, he's amazing at pinup girls. And we don't do too much sex appeal here at IronVerse Comics, but I was glad to be able to do this. It was an interesting set of circumstances that led to this image existing. We released it as the pinup, as a pinup that we're sending out with our books, as well as the metal card, which all of our physical backers are receiving. So, yeah, it was just cool to post that up again and actually see it take a little bit of flight. If you folks would share this as well, that would be super cool, even if it's down the road and you're checking this out. Um, that would be great. But if not, don't worry about it. Again, many of our fans have already seen it. So, yeah. But it's neat when shit hits, so I know my account isn't completely dead. Usually it can be pretty low. And that could be out of creativity on my end. It could be so many factors, right? So it's kind of impossible to learn on how this works, but it's good to be reminded that it can still work a little bit. And that's what this did for me yesterday alongside that very general statement on manga and Western comics. All right, so I can get off that. Let's go back over here, and then I'll check out your comments again. Bum, 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 bum. What would you say is a good modern American comic that's worth reading? Again, if you're into metal, fucking Murder Falcon, you're not going to find a better expression of the love of that music form. Even in music almost, which is a trip. I really can recommend that. It's from Image. It's a few years old as far as I'm aware. Beautiful, stunningly aggressive, but also just heartfelt read. Shows a passion for music and a passion for metal itself. That again, I don't think any film has expressed either. It's just a beautiful piece of art. It had me in tears multiple times. Uh, I can't recommend that enough. Um, in terms of like back issues, it depends on what you're into. Um, you want something kind of straightforward. There's always classics, right? And they're classics for a reason. Batman Long Halloween, if you want a very definitive detective story with Batman, with very loose but expressive art, fucking you can't go wrong there. And if you like that, you can read Dark Victory, really cool. Um, the Thor by Strazinsky, that one got me, which takes place right after the first Marvel Comics Civil War when Thor is reborn. His relaunch there, basically those 3, 4 volumes, I think it was, that Straczynski did. Just the art is wonderful, and there's some subtales in there that are just beautiful, and then there's very specific moments that are very powerful. One in particular between Thor and Captain America is just, it's beautiful. Um, Bone by Jeff Smith, one of the greatest indie examples in the medium. So pre-internet, the motherfucker got a hold of every comic shop in the United States to see if they would carry his book, right? And that's just on the business level, super inspirational to get it off the ground. In fact, he's releasing a new one. They did their first Kickstarter for Tuki, a Fight for Fire or something like that. It's a caveman story. I'm very interested to see how that came out. I backed it. I'm a big Jeff Smith fan. But Bone is like Lord of the Rings with Calvin and Hobbes, kind of. Really fun, really emotional exploration. It's a little bit more on the young adult spectrum, but it's good for anybody. The best young adult works are for everyone, in my opinion. There's a lot of Dougton Apple stuff I've liked a lot. Cardboard, Ghostopolis broke me. There's some stuff where he's a little bit more heavy-handed with his beliefs that sours it a little for me, but usually the expression is so heartfelt and non-demanding that it doesn't ruin anything. It's just like, oh, okay, that's there. That's fine. That's fine. And none of it, again, it's not heavy-handed and specific and shaking you. You know, it's very much here's this over here, and that works. But really, Ghostopolis, that one's really really powerful with death. Um, Again, it's a young adult story. I might have to look back because there's a lot of good stuff. That one's depends what you want out of the works. The most recent like fun tale, fun, sexy, looked good. Gypsy by Heavy Metal. Or from Heavy Metal. Fucking a fun read. It's another unique thing like Gru. It's got a very unique voice because it's a foreigner's version of English, right? Um, and so how they think it's just a little different, so it reads a little different and unique, which I really like as long as it's handled well. And Gypsy is handled so well. It's very fun. It's got some great sexiness to it. And you can usually get it cheap from Heavy Metal. Heavy Metal doesn't sell as well as it should and bothers me. I'd recommend that Gypsy the Wandering Star. Um, fucking yeah, I'd recommend that too. I mean, depends what you want. There's something out there for everybody. Um, in my opinion. And it just, yeah, that's the problem with American comics too, is the accessibility. It's so confusing and such a glut of content with very little continuity or easily identifiable connections. This Spider-Man book and this Spider-Man book might be two very different books, and it doesn't really help. Whereas you pick up a volume of One Piece, it's One Piece. Yeah, exactly. It's One Piece. But yeah, um, like something that could be picked up without any background on the story and just read it and enjoy it. Yeah, Murder Falcon's on the top if you like music. Bone, you can do that as well. It's like Lord of the Rings meets Calvin and Hobbes a little bit, but it's got a little bit heavier than that. If you want something that's got some levity but very deep themes explored, Bone's great at that. Scud, fucking psychosis put to paper, and I love that. That's something that American comics do really well. That I don't see. American indie comics do very very well that I don't see in manga all the time is complete batshit insanity. Now you will get it in manga. I know it exists. It's just not stuff that really hits the mainstream like Fooly Cooly. That's batshit insane, and I like insanity. Scud is disposable. Scud, disposable assassin. It's hard to read because of the insanity, but that's the point. So you can pick that up and enjoy it if that's something you want. Um, what else we got here recently? It is harder to find that though in Western comics, something that you can just pick up and enjoy like that. Um, Yeah, it really depends on what you want. Uh, like I've enjoyed the Lone Ranger from Dynamite quite a lot, but because I wanted a good Western tale. Some issues are weaker than others, as happens, but generally it's really good if you want like a Western classic American kind of Western tale. Um, if you want most of these you could do that. Batman Long Halloween. You don't need to know much about Batman to enjoy the detective story that's put forward. Straczynski's Thor. Uh, it's a rebirth tale, right? So you don't need to know much about Thor. It's just a new starting point for Thor. So that works really well. And that's supposed to be the point of the number ones and why we do them again and again so often is so that you have a new jumping on point for readers. But we've done it so often with so many different creators and so many different takes on these characters that it's so hit or miss. You can't love a character. You almost have to love a creator. And that becomes very difficult when creators are bouncing from project to project to project. Because sometimes that creator will do a lot better on a certain type of story, a certain type of character than another, and you won't know that, so you can't really latch onto the creator either. And, it's tough. I totally agree with you, but there's a few, and I do recommend indie books for that more than mainstream. But there are some mainstream stories that are amazing. I really liked oh God, was it? Kevin Smith's Daredevil is it's up there. Guardian Devil, that was the run. Relatively self-contained. You don't need to know much about Daredevil, beginning, middle, and end. Super sad tale. Really defines why Daredevil is such a very sad superhero. Like there's a lot of tragedy in his life. Like Punisher, his tragedy happened at one point, and then there's not much tragedy past that. He can't get any worse, right? Daredevil, he aspires to continue to trust and love and grow, and it's continuously taken from him. And Guardian Devil is a good expression of that, and it's self-contained. A lot of people like the origin story by Frank Miller as well, which was it Born? Is that what it's called? Born Daredevil. Oh no, no, it's called The Man Without Fear. Daredevil, Man Without Fear, Frank Miller. That's good if you like Daredevil. It's a definitive origin story. Um, but yeah, it's tough in the Western market, man. You are certainly right. Um, Bone is awesome. All right, so you know Bone. That's good. What else could you just pick up that I got here? I had trouble with Hellboy. I was really hoping like it's beautiful artistry and really kind of fun tales, but I've only gotten about I don't even think I've gotten through Seed of Destruction yet. No, I don't think I've gotten through Seed of Destruction yet. So it's like it's good, but it also doesn't latch me. Bone latched me. A lot of manga is really good at latching me, keeping me interested and wanting to go forward. Um, it's tough. Gru again. You can pick up any single issue of Gru and you'll get something good out of it. Uh, but the first volume of Hellblazer is really good, depending on what you want. I like Western comics a lot for their single issue stories that have a beginning, middle, and end in that single pickup. And Hellblazer for a while was doing that with little hints of growth. Um, so it had that X Files kind of monster of the week kind of feel to it for a little while, and that can be really good. Yeah, again, it just depends on what you're looking for: fantasy, sci-fi, superheroes, horror, westerns, um, coming of age. It depends on what you want. There's something good out there in both media, in both expressions of the same medium, manga and Western art. There's something out there. I don't want to disparage modern Western comics because there's a lot of amazing work coming out. But by and large, the stuff being done with the icons isn't being received very well. That's the best I could say. Is not. I have no interest in jumping on to modern expressions of Marvel. Even the stuff that I've heard is really good. Modern expressions of DC, even though there's some stuff I've heard is really good. I read the Black Label of Question, the first part, and it wasn't that good. I read Old the Question, and it wasn't that good. But I like the Question as a character because of Justice League Unlimited, the animated series. So it's tough, no question. You're right to ask, and I have no idea. You know, there's a lot of different things. Like uh, So I go through the IronVerse quickies. I have that series on this YouTube channel to delve into lesser-known indie works. Some of them are works I know the creator relatively well because we serve in the same trenches, right? Sometimes I don't know them too well, but I find them inspirational because of the work and what they've been able to accomplish. Sometimes it's because I have an interest in the idea that they're able to explore that you wouldn't be able to in the more mainstream. So yeah, check that out. More often than not, I will recommend a read that's on IronVerse Quickies, even if it has dents and holes and things that aren't that strong, simply how because of the individual expression it is, and that's important to me. It's very important to me. Uh, yeah. So I hope that answered a couple. I mean, there's more stuff, but yeah, my top of the list will and it hasn't been topped yet is Murder Falcon in terms of like touching, powerful, independent reads. Yeah, in the Western spectrum. Now, if you're looking for more like study work. So far, I've been through Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, and I found that amazing. And it is a comic. He presents all the information and stuff in a comic form, and I think that's wonderful. It's how I got through it so easily, and it's how he could tell these beats and such properly. So I would really recommend that if you haven't checked that out. He does talk about the manga a little bit in there as well, which is kind of neat to see his Western perspective because he focuses on the medium as sequential art and the different expressions of it, which I also tend to do because they're very similar in tools, right? Just not in expression and in use. And I found that very enlightening. I have the second book in the trilogy. There's three of them. What's it called? Making Comics, and I haven't gotten through that. I haven't been able to touch that recently. Um, just been overwhelmed again. I a couple of the reads on my Whatcha reading I haven't finished yet, but it was time to do that again. The Whatcha reading. So we talked about them anyway. But yeah, that's about that. We talked about that, so now I guess we can move on to the update part of all of this, and it's gonna be a little bit more somber. So hold on to your butts, folks. We're gonna be talking about IronVerse Comics, where we're at, and where our campaign is at, and where our fulfillment on the previous campaign is at. And it's all having steps forward, right? But as our work has continued to be, again, why Miora's work resonates so with me. We're strugglers. We're pushing forward through hardships. So let's. I guess we'll go. I guess we'll start here. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. So we'll go there. Oh, boom, boom, boom. So this is where we're at on the hardcover campaign. 10 days to go. A little over 10 days. It's like 10 days, 2 hours, something like that. 48% funded. 115 backers. We need about 240 to fund, and that's if everybody was backing the hardcover itself, which we have a lot of digital backers, which I'm blessed. That's the easiest to fulfill and such, but yeah, it doesn't crawl us forward as easy. It's also the easiest to support our work. It's the cheapest buy-in, right? Um, we're at 4111, so again, we're a little bit below halfway there. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a push, and I have no idea how it's going to go. We were about here as well with our previous campaign, and we funded the last day, so I have no idea how any of this is going to go. But this was the hardcover campaign was to prove that we can do things quickly and professionally with no stumbles. Our previous attempts and successful attempts have all been seat of our pants. The last one with Corona and just so many other factors in my life became very difficult, and we're pushing through that. We're fulfilling. We're getting everybody their books. We were able to print more than expected. A whole lot of weird stuff happened with that campaign, from the final day funding to the 1,500 issues that we didn't expect to have extra that are misprints. to working with the printer. There's just so many things that occurred with that were learning experiences and were very cool. But I want to integrate those so that we can be the machine I know we can to produce the most work possible in the limited time we all have on this little blue orb. So yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. I have no idea. Again, I'm doing a few more live streams, particularly in this last 10 days. So we'll see if I can drum up some support myself. If not, at least I'm going to be talking about it, and we gave it a really good go. We will have a new cover, whether or not that is integrated into this hardcover because we fund, or if it's used for another hardcover campaign on Indiegogo, which I don't really want to do. I don't want to run this campaign again. I want to move on to issue 4, I think, if this is to fail, or if it's to succeed. That is our next step, I think, is issue number 4. But we will have a new cover. That's in process. Maxie has been very busy and has had a hard time trying to surmise our 3 issues into a really cool cover. So we worked on that even earlier today. So hopefully we'll have something this week to show folks before the end. At least some line art or something, right? I'd really like that. Show the new content. And again, it won't go to waste either way. But that's where we're at there. I have no idea. I've been alternating thumbnails here. I switched from this one back to what you just saw, and I kind of been alternating that back and forth to see what hits more. So far, this image seems to hit a little bit more, so I'm trying it again now. We'll see how that goes. Um, just little things, little tweaks, and just trying to gather as much benefit from running this as possible, gather as much knowledge. So far, Kickstarter has not been very passively, not as passively helpful as I had hoped. It being, the larger platform and it having the larger audience. I was hoping more passive eyes would take interest, especially with a cheap digital buy-in. And I think that's been a factor. It was being more consistent. I get backers every day passively. Was being the key term. Last few days, it's been a little bit more dead. So I don't know. By the end of this, we'll figure out what have some kind of information to take away from it. So. I'll probably talk about that, whether we fund or not, on this channel down the road. So, all that good stuff, like, subscribe, all that, make sure the channel grows. We're almost at 250 subs, which is great, quarter of the way to monetization, which is wonderful. And we're taking our small steps forward every day. But yeah, that's where we're at here. Hopeful, but realistic is where I'm at with this. So I have no idea where it's going to go, and that's the truth. But I'm definitely very hopeful that the chaos of crowdfunding can judo some of this by the end. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. Um, you think you like everything comics? So do I. So do I. Web comics, just individual expressions through this medium. It's a very concise medium on expressing unbelievable imagination that film and novelization can't really keep up with. Novelization and prose as a writing form really asks the reader to imagine a lot, whereas comics allows you to push that imagination a little bit further in the direction you wanted to truly communicate from your imagination, which I think is really cool. And film doesn't leave much room for imagination. So yeah, I really love this medium. Um, yeah, so there's that, and then I can talk about fulfillment, where we've fulfilled about 150 books so far of the I think 320 we need to fulfill orders. So not books, orders. So I think that's like 400, about 390 books we have fulfilled. We've been starting with the complete packages. Hopefully we will start international shipping in June. so folks can start getting that. It's gonna whap the last bit of my budget. At least I'm gonna be hitting 7-day work weeks for the next few months, but it is what it is. At least they're not like 9 to 5 7-day work days. They're like 4:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and like 7 to about 2 most of the time. So they're not like terribly draining on me, but it's going to be every day for a while. And a lot of my extra budget's going to go to make sure that we fulfill these books. That was part of this Kickstarter as well, was to help pad me out, particularly when the international hit. But I don't know if that's gonna, so I am definitely working hard to make sure that it doesn't matter one way or another. And so far we should be fine. I saved all of last year, and it's still got a good budget. But I did just hopefully I transferred all the funds needed to ship out the rest of domestic to Wicked, so they should be able to finish domestic, and then we'll still have a good chunk for the internationals, even though it's going to be like $50 a piece to ship them. Uh, I did not charge enough, but it is what it is. We're getting our work across the world, and that's really cool. All right, thank you so much for joining and sticking up. And I hope the tips help. Or the discussion certainly helps me getting my words to out there one way or another. It helps vent, so it's not just ticking around in my brain, right? Um, but yeah, so that's where we're at with the Indiegogo as well. I'm gonna let folks know where we're at through an update again here soon. The metal cards, I just have not followed through on shipping. I still have about 100 to sign as well. What I'm thinking of doing is shipping the bulk of the sign cards for the international guys and maybe even the single issue folks. Um, just to Wicked so that they'll come with your package. But the books we've already sent out, I'll be sending those personally, stamped and signed and all that fun stuff in a letter. I did show the packages, what they look like. They look like this last stream. Um, haven't tested them yet, so we'll see once I follow through on getting these out. I'll let folks know I'm going to ship at least one or two to Wicked Publishing to see how they arrive, and hopefully they arrive just fine. I think how I prepared them should do just fine for a simple metal card, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I'll inform folks on that. I just need to find the time and the energy to do it. Um, and that's on me. You can give me shit all you want about it, folks. I deserve it, but it's just I just have not gotten there. And yeah, that's that's about the updates. I don't have much else. Again, been working with Maxie to get this cover one way or another before the end of the campaign, so I have a couple days to show it off, and I'll be pushing the fuck out of it if it arrives before the end of the campaign, which it should. But if it doesn't, it is what it is. I will still be pushing it. It will probably likely end up as a poster on IronVerseComics.com. Um, and maybe a future attempt at collecting the 3 issues into a volume 1 down the line. We'll use it. But again, if this doesn't fund, I have no idea. I have no idea. And I have faith in our fans and friends and, and, and the work to reach more people. But currently, we are definitely getting a harsh reminder of the realities of crowdfunding. At least I am. That nothing is guaranteed, even with consistent building. So we'll see. We'll see. Uh, with that, let me go ahead over here to the full screen cam. Then I'll probably have some cold coffee. See if I missed anything. Let's see where we're at time-wise. I gotta refresh this because I don't think that's accurate. It might be. Yeah, no, it was accurate time-wise. So we're about a hour and a half. That's not bad. Um, I really don't know if I have much else to communicate to you, wonderful folks. As always, I'll take questions, and I might go ahead and Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to hit that again. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that didn't get touched. Oh well, I'll hit that again just to see if we can get just a wee bit more attention on it. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And yeah, I guess that does cover most things. Yeah, that seems to be it. So, yeah, I'll open the questions. Again, not enough people watching for there to be many questions currently. But if you have any, whoever's watching, let me know. Uh, I don't think I have much else to discuss. We talked about what I was reading. We talked about IronVerse Comics. We talked about manga and the tweets that I've been dealing with. Oh, you know what? There's two other things to talk about. I guess I'll go ahead and hit those. Um, I posted something asking for folks to let me know about questions you may have. So it's gonna be an ongoing thread. I'm gonna keep retweeting it, seeing if we can get many questions on it. Go ahead and link that for the hell of it. Let me go here. It's right here. Take suggested topics to cover. So this is things I'm gonna hit as we're going, and I will. Guessing we're going to hit both of these, and one of them's ridiculous, and one of them we kind of spoke about, but we didn't directly, right? We talked more about generalizations of storytelling and such. And I can answer this one real quick. Has manga superseded the Western comic book industry? Depends on your definition of superseded, but I would say no, not even. It has done gangbusters for sequential art so that people understand it as what it could be instead of the very American way of thinking of them as child's play. But I don't think it's superseded. I don't think it certainly may be overshadowing it, but I don't think it's taken its place. Um, I don't think anything could take the Western comic industry's place because there's expressions that only are done through this certain expression of sequential art. That's the easiest way to put it. For more though, on the business perspective and on the audience reach and on a lot of things like that, it's certainly likely outpacing, no question. Um, that's the probability. I would guess it is. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I hear arguments on both sides, and it's very muddled. And since I haven't done the research, I don't want to comment directly. But if I had to bet, like gun to my head, bet, yeah, I would think that it is kicking its ass. Mainly because of the fusion of anime and manga, allowing the anime to introduce folks to a story and then be a little bit behind, so it allows, and then there's a manga, so you go and check it out. I think as a hook, as bait and hook, that method, I think that's done really well. That's how I got into superheroes, was the Saturday morning cartoon, and we don't really have anything like that anymore for the Western audience. We did, or should, with our multi-billion-dollar making, films, films that make multi-billion dollars. You would think there's a translation into superhero culture and Western comics culture, but again, there's this barrier when you're watching the anime. Uh, about 80% of the time, probably, it's very close, if not directly from the manga. Whereas superhero films, here's a bunch of different bits from a bunch of different stories and then told the way we want to tell it. And that makes another barrier in front of when you actually get to the bookstore or the comic shop and you're looking for a tale. You have a bunch of different versions of Iron Man. You have a bunch of different versions of Cap, right? And none of them are the ones from the film. So it's there's a disconnect there, and that's something else we can learn from, I think. But I don't think we will. Hollywood is I don't think it has the potential. I think it's just too ingrained, too within itself, too isolated to be able to reach out like that. Whereas manga and anime, it was such a necessity that now they're integrated. And then here's one real simple: regular cheddar or sharp cheddar. I prefer sharp cheddar, which I believe is older. I like more flavor to less flavor in my cheese. But there's a lot of cheeses I don't like. But in terms of cheddar, I prefer sharp cheddar. That should answer that. My strong opinion on that, yeah. As I said on there, definitely no question if I have a choice. I preferred aged cheese to fresh. Well, not fresh, to younger, less potent cheeses, by and large. But that's not true on every type of cheese. But in the cheddar battle, there, very strong opinion that yes, I prefer sharp cheddar. And I think it is better. But then again, there's two. You can get really cheap sharp cheddar, and then you get really expensive regular cheddar. I don't know. I buy cheap. I've always bought cheap. I'm frugal, and grew up with not much money around. So we went for the stuff that tastes good and was within budget and wouldn't kill you. So kind of medium tier to medium low tier. If that's what we're talking about, those two types of cheddar, no question, sharp cheddar. I hope that answers it for Eating Crow. And on this one, yeah, I might do a more specific video on that if I have the numbers and such. But yeah, I don't think it's superseded, but it is certainly overshadowing. And they're both existing and to a point coexisting, but um, Western comics are not resonating with a majority, uh, with as many folks as manga is currently. I don't think so, and that breaks my heart because again, they're very similar mediums that express very different versions of storytelling, and both have extreme value. I think, and one might kill you as a creator, and then the other you might be struggling the whole time and never make it, or you might have to compromise your creativity a little bit more to get anything done. There's a lot of problems with both, and I'd like to see them learn from each other, as we were talking about before. Um, yeah, and I think that pretty much covers it. I appreciate you folks for joining me. I don't have. I think we're at the point where I'm kind of out of gas. I've had plenty of coffee. I'm not out of energy, which is good, but I think I'm out of topics. Again, what you're reading? Lone Wolves. Good, worth the pickup. Artistic quality was great. It did the cover bait and switch, which makes sense though, because the original wasn't released with a cover. It was released as a mini series within a magazine. It was released in grayscale, and yet they decided to recover it, put the new Warhammer 40k logo on it, which is less Nazi, which is fine, I guess. But definitely gentler, and the font is like gentler. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the logo redo, but this was one of their last hurrahs before Disney, so definitely worth checking out. Definitely skillful creation. The plot's bare bones, but you get what you want out of a 40k comic. Marty's Calgar. So far, issue one, fine. It definitely, again, as I was saying, it's not cuddly like I expected Disney to do to it. They didn't remove the gore, they didn't remove the horror, they didn't remove the war from Eternal War, which is good. I was a little worried they would, but also this doesn't really hook anybody. Like if you're new to 40k, you're gonna learn a lot, but I don't think it'll I don't think it'll hook you into 40k. I would recommend reading source books or Wikipedia articles almost more because it's the tales told are a little bit stronger. But again, I have to finish this. There's 4 more issues to read here, so I've only read 20% of it. So maybe there's something really cool down the line, and I do plan on doing a quickie on this, discussing it in its entirety when I'm done with it, because of how important 40k is to me, and because of how interested I am that Marvel and Disney have acquired this property, and how curious I am with what they did with it. And I can at least say from the beginning is that they didn't ruin it, but they certainly haven't made it strong. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. And if you're a Ultramarines fan, you're probably going to get something out of it. It's not insulting. It's just not. It's just not great, and a lot of 40K comics aren't great. So it's your average 40K comic, I would say, with a little less British grimdark feel to it, more of an American take on it. And I don't even know if that's what it is, but yeah, I'm gonna have a lot to say about this. I can almost guarantee it. I can never not recommend Gru the Wanderer, any single issue, as long as it doesn't say part one of whatever or part two of whatever. Um, because they're self-contained, just fun stories. And if you want just a comic, something to lose yourself in for a couple minutes, maybe you get a couple good chuckles, and look at some very unique and very cool art, lots of detail and expression and personality, and unique phrasing of words, and just a unique expression of what a funny book is. Yeah, Gru the Wanderer always. And yeah, I recommend Omnibus 1 and 2 more than this one so far, but I'm about half, more than a third, not quite half through this, and it started wandering with a vampire tale. And I don't know why they introduced vampires, and I hope he justifies it throughout this, because she is on the cover, so I think it's important to him, whatever this tale of a vampire is. The previous, was that in this one? Yeah, I think at the beginning of this, Alita did fight this vampirus, and there's a lot of importance to that fight, and an item that was transferred from the vampirus to Alita. So I think there's going to be layers of exploring identity to it. But again, I'm very curious why it's vampires and why he felt the need to put vampires in his cyborg transhumanist tale, martial arts tale. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you folks know as I continue, and maybe I'll do a retrospective once I finish the entire last order, um, which I'm getting there. I have the next omnibus behind me when I finish this one. I just wish it wasn't muddling around right now with a character that I'm not too interested in yet, even though it's put a lot of effort into it. Yeah, I guess that covers all the what you're reading, and that covers the updates the best I could. If you have any questions, comments, all that, always put them in our comment section. If you're watching this later, I don't think we get very many backlog views of these live streams, but they're always there for folks who would like to. And certainly would appreciate it. Any comments on the quality of the video, the lighting, any engagement, I'm very appreciative of. It's how we can continue doing our work. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics, and I'll see you on that rusty IronVerse Comics trail. You folks take care, stay safe, and keep supporting indie works. I want to hear all of our voices, because I think that's the only way we're going to figure out this whole thing, this crazy ass thing that we're all involved in. All right, you take care, folks, and yeah, later on.